Hello all and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Veteran Series from Fantasy Football Hub. My name is Andrew Ferguson, and in this series I will be chatting with some of the most experienced, knowledgeable and dedicated fantasy football managers in the world to get behind the scenes into their personal lives, their stories, why they love fantasy football, and for some of them, including today's guest, how they turned their passion into a living. I'll also be trying to draw out those golden nuggets of fantasy information that have helped them along the way. I am delighted to be able to chat with one of the most influential people in the FPL Twitter community. I won't steal her thunder as she'll be telling us her story and rise to where she is throughout this video series, but I don't mind saying that she is one of the inspirations behind my own decision to take my passion for fantasy football to the next level in the last year. Today we will try to meet the woman behind the @FF community handle in Holly Shand, and now full-time FPL content creator. Welcome, Holly.
Welcome, Andrew. Thank you very much for that kind introduction.
No worries at all. So first off, Holly, could you tell us a bit about what it's like to work full-time in FPL?
Well, it's really cool. I know it's an ambition of many, and it was an ambition of mine quite a few years ago. And it's bizarre that I'm just having a career which is essentially playing the game and sharing advice on how to play a game with hundreds and thousands of other managers online. And I really enjoy it. It's obviously busy a lot of the time because the game never stops, and even in the off season there's always plenty of things that can be done, whether it's tracking the transfer window, tracking player injuries, looking at summer tournaments, for example. So it never stops. There's always something to be doing.
Okay, so in terms of balancing this with your home life, Holly, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your family and stuff at all?
Yeah, so I live in a small village in Lincolnshire with my husband and daughter. So in terms of balancing my FPL content around that, I am essentially a full-time mum and a part-time FPL content creator. So a lot of the work that I do is at an evening or a weekend. I am lucky to have quite a lot of family support around me as well. So sometimes the grandparents get drafted in when we've got a particularly busy football schedule, when there's stuff like midweek game weeks and things like that to contend with. In terms of my background, I have always been into maths and always been into football, so it's been being able to combine those two has been great. So I did a lot of maths when I was at school, went to university and did a degree in maths, and then spent 9 years being a maths teacher before moving across to be an FPL content creator. So that's my background.
Okay. When a person asks you, kind of outside your family or someone who doesn't know you, what you do for a living, or someone you used to go to university with or something like that, what do you say, Holly?
It depends who I'm speaking to. I think if I was having a conversation with someone, I'd tell them that I'm, working in fantasy football. When it comes to doing things like your car insurance, for example, and its occupation, it varies. The sports journalist tends to be the main one, although I think probably week to week a lot of what I do is sports journalism. But then the wider things like having a social media profile to manage and things like that, it does delve a lot deeper than just being a sports journalist. You end up being a little bit of a jack of all trades, in terms of the technology side of things, running a website, running a social media channel, recording YouTube videos. There's a lot of different skills that you pick up along the way. So yeah, it does depend what company I'm in, but if people know what football is, that's great. When I try and tell my nana what I do, that doesn't go down so well because she doesn't even know what the internet is and doesn't have a mobile phone, doesn't have a computer. That definitely becomes more challenging. I normally go down the route of, you can read football reports in the newspaper. It's essentially like that, but online.
Fantastic. And what other hobbies have you had in the past? Or do you have hobby kind of outside, the family and fantasy football and stuff? Is there anything else you do?
Well, hobbies have been on the back burner for the
Yeah.
most recent period because, you know, obviously having a young child to look after does take up a lot of my time, and then fantasy football comes into most of the other moments. When I was younger, I used to play piano. Before I started playing fantasy football more seriously, I did quite a bit of running, ran a marathon. Not very fast, but I did manage to get around without stopping, without
Wow.
having to walk. So I think I've probably ran the slowest marathon in history, having run the whole way. But I was definitely running the whole way, so that's one good thing. So yeah, that's about it really. Football tends to take up a lot of my time. I do enjoy a lot of sports. I really enjoy the snooker. I used to go to university in Sheffield, so I was lucky enough to go to the Crucible a few years in a row to see the World Championships.
Oh.
It's all the geeky things. I think it's the mathematician in me.
Yeah, fantastic. And what are your like earliest memories of football? What's your kind of earliest memory ever that you can remember, like watching a game or going to a game or watching something live? Have you got any kind of early memories?
Oh, I remember going to a family party. I think it was my auntie's 40th birthday. This is like 1996, so I must have been. I think I'd just turned 6, and there was big talk about there being this big football game on there. So it was Euro '96, and it was England against Germany. I don't actually remember watching the game, but I think that was my first real memory of, you know, football on television and being a big hype around the family and it being a big thing in the country as a whole.
Fantastic. How old were you then, Holly? I'm trying to think. I was 16 then. How old were you then? Remember?
6.
6. Oh God, that
Yeah.
tells the difference between our ages. But yeah, there we go. Okay.
Do some quick maths.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for that, Holly. So in our next video, we'll be taking Holly down memory lane to hear about her early and favourite fantasy football moments. The link is in the description below.